Everyone in my class thought I was the perfect student. Straight A's, always top of the class, teachers loved me. But none of them knew the truth. People assumed I was born smart, that studying was effortless for me. But behind every test and every paper, there was a story I never shared. At school, classmates whispered things like, "She's probably a genius," or "Her life must be so easy." I smiled politely, but inside, I wanted to scream. The truth was, my life was far from easy. Every grade I earned came with a heavy price that no one could ever imagine. After school, while everyone else hung out with friends or joined sports, I rushed straight home, carrying more than just a backpack full of homework. At home, the pressure didn't stop. My parents constantly reminded me, "You must stay number one." No excuses. Their voices echoed louder than any classroom lecture. They taped my old report cards on the refrigerator like trophies. To them, my grades weren't just marks, they were proof of their sacrifices and expectations. Sometimes I stayed awake until 2 a.m., cramming for exams with red eyes and trembling hands. Coffee became my best friend, sleep my enemy. I had notebooks filled with detailed schedules. Every minute of my day was planned. Study, revise, test, practice, repeat. Fun wasn't part of my vocabulary. The saddest part, my friends had no idea. They thought I was avoiding them, when in reality, I was drowning in endless responsibilities at home. My secret wasn't just hard work, it was obsession. I pushed myself far beyond normal limits because I was terrified of disappointing my parents. Sometimes I wondered if anyone would still like me if I failed even once. Would I still be me without the perfect grades? Teachers praised me publicly. "She's a role model," they'd say. My classmates clapped, but their eyes showed envy, not admiration. It made me feel lonelier. I wanted to tell them, "Don't envy me. You don't know the nights I've cried myself to sleep because of this pressure," but I stayed quiet. One day, my best friend asked, "What's your secret?" She wanted study tips. I almost told her the truth, but the words stuck in my throat. I forced a smile and said, "Just a lot of practice." She believed me. I felt guilty for lying, but admitting the truth felt impossible. That night, while revising for yet another math test, I broke down. Tears smudged my notes. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe properly. I realized then that my secret wasn't just about grades. It was about how much I was breaking myself to maintain the image of perfection. The next morning at school, everyone congratulated me for another high score. I smiled on the outside, but inside, I was screaming, "I'm not okay." During lunch, I overheard classmates whispering, "She probably doesn't even need to try." My hands clenched. If only they knew the truth, they wouldn't say that. After class, my teacher pulled me aside and asked if I'd consider tutoring other students. I wanted to say no, but I felt trapped by expectations. I agreed, even though my schedule was already suffocating me. How could I say no when everyone believed I had it all figured out? That night, I stayed up even later, preparing lessons for tutoring while also finishing my own assignments. My eyes burned, my body begged for rest. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, dark circles, pale skin, cracked lips. Was this really what a perfect student was supposed to look like? My parents noticed my tiredness but brushed it off. "That's what it takes to be the best," my father said. I swallowed my tears and nodded. Deep down, I wondered if they loved me for who I was or just for the grades I brought home. That thought haunted me constantly. During tutoring sessions, I noticed how carefree my classmates seemed. They laughed between problems, joked about silly things. I couldn't remember the last time I laughed like that. One student said, "I wish I could be like you." I almost told her, "No, you don't," but I bit my tongue again. One evening, while scrolling through social media, I saw pictures of my friends at a party. I wasn't invited, but I wouldn't have gone anyway. I realized I had missed out on so many moments, birthdays, movies, late-night calls because I was chained to my desk. My success came with loneliness. The next morning, I forced myself out of bed, even though my head pounded. My grades stayed perfect, but my body was slowly collapsing under the weight. My mom said proudly, "Our daughter is going to make us so proud at graduation." I wanted to scream. What about making me happy? At school, my English teacher announced a surprise essay. Everyone groaned, but I froze. I hadn't prepared for this. My entire world depended on preparation. I wrote fast, my hand trembling. By the end, my essay was messy. I turned it in with a knot in my stomach, doubting myself. When she returned the papers, she smiled at me. Excellent work. Relief washed over me, but also guilt. I didn't feel excellent, just exhausted. My classmates groaned again. Of course, she got an A, one muttered. I looked down, pretending not to hear, but the words cut deeper than they knew. After school, I sat in the library. Books surrounded me, but my mind wasn't in them. I felt trapped in a cage made of pages. A boy from my class sat nearby. He said softly, "You always look so stressed. Are you okay?" I lied and said, "I'm fine," but his question stuck with me. For the first time, someone noticed my pain, not my grades, not my scores, but my actual face. That night, I stared at my textbooks and whispered, "I can't keep doing this." My heart pounded. My secret was crushing me slowly. The pressure grew worse during finals week. I studied until dawn, my desk piled high with sticky notes, practice tests, and energy drink cans. My friends texted me, "Wanna hang out?" I ignored them. Every no widened the distance between us. Soon, they stopped asking altogether. My life became a cycle. Study, eat quickly, study again, collapse on bed, repeat. The calendar flipped, but every day looked exactly the same. One morning, I fainted in the bathroom. My mom panicked and rushed me to the doctor. He said simply, "She needs rest." Rest? That word sounded like a luxury. My dad brushed it off. "She's strong. She'll be fine." I nodded weakly, even though my body begged otherwise. At school, I pretended nothing happened. I didn't want rumors spreading, but the boy who noticed me earlier whispered, "Take care of yourself." I wanted to thank him, but I couldn't. Speaking the truth felt like peeling off armor I'd worn for too long. The biggest exam of the semester arrived. Everyone was nervous, but I felt something worse. Emptiness. I didn't care about winning anymore, I just wanted freedom. During the test, I stared at the paper blankly. My mind froze. For the first time in years, I felt like I might actually fail. My hands shook. I forced myself to write, but every answer felt unsure. When I turned it in, my chest tightened with dread. The results came a week later. I held my breath as the teacher handed me my paper. A big red B stared back at me. My classmates gasped. "She didn't get an A?" Someone whispered. My stomach dropped. My secret was slipping through the cracks. That night, my parents were silent at dinner. No yelling, no praise, just silence. Somehow, that silence hurt more than any scolding could. I locked myself in my room and cried for hours. For the first time, I wasn't crying over the pressure, I was crying because I was free. Free from the illusion of perfection. Free from the lie I had built around myself. The secret was out. I wasn't flawless. The next day, whispers followed me. "Did you hear? She got a B." Some smirked, others pitied me. I walked through the hall with my head low, but strangely, I felt lighter. For once, I didn't have to live up to an impossible image. I was just a girl, human, imperfect. My best friend approached me cautiously. "Are you okay?" she asked. I almost laughed. After everything, she was the only one who cared about my feelings. I nodded. "Yeah, actually, I think I'm okay." And for the first time in years, those words weren't a lie. Slowly, I started changing. I still studied, but I let myself rest too. I joined my friends for a movie night. I laughed until my stomach hurt. My grades remained good, though not perfect, and that was okay. Life wasn't about perfection anymore, it was about balance, about breathing. Teachers still praised me, but I learned to shrug it off. Their compliments no longer chained me. I was more than a report card. My parents struggled at first. "What happened to your A+?" my dad asked. I replied softly, "What happened to caring about me more than my grades?" He went silent. For the first time, I saw confusion in his eyes, not authority. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to understand. My mom began checking in differently. Instead of asking, "How's your score?" she asked, "Did you eat? Did you sleep well?" It was small, but it mattered. At school, the boy who noticed me smiled again. "You look happier," I blushed. Maybe he was right. Maybe I finally looked like myself. I shared my story with him about the pressure, the sleepless nights, the secret behind my perfect grades. He listened without judgment, only with kindness. For the first time, someone truly knew me, not the perfect version, but the real me. And instead of pity, he offered support. Word spread that I wasn't unbeatable anymore. Surprisingly, some classmates started approaching me for genuine help, not because I was perfect, but because I understood struggle. I helped them with homework, but this time, I didn't pretend. I admitted when I was tired, when I needed breaks. They respected me more for it. I began journaling at night, not just about school but about feelings. Each word I wrote made me realize how much I had bottled inside. My friends started inviting me again, and this time, I said yes. I was part of laughter, jokes, silly adventures, things grades could never replace. At graduation rehearsal, I stood among my classmates. For once, I wasn't just the top student. I was a girl who had survived and changed. On graduation day, my name was still called among the honors. But when I walked across the stage, I wasn't thinking about grades, I was thinking about freedom. My parents clapped. This time, I didn't look at them for approval. I looked at the crowd of friends cheering for me, and I smiled. After the ceremony, my best friend hugged me. "You did it," she said. I whispered back, "We did it because I finally let myself live." Later, the boy from class found me. "So, what's next for you?" he asked. I grinned. Something other than studying all night. We laughed together. That night, instead of studying, I sat under the stars. My journal lay open, filled not with equations but with dreams I finally let myself imagine. My secret wasn't about grades anymore. It was about discovering myself beyond numbers, beyond pressure, beyond perfection. I wasn't afraid to share it anymore. The truth was messy. The truth was painful. But the truth was mine, and it was finally out in the open for the world to see. Months later, I entered college with a different mindset. I studied hard, but I also joined clubs, made friends, and let myself rest. Some classmates still expected me to be the perfect student, but I smiled and said, "I'm not perfect, and I don't need to be." That answer shocked them, but it freed me. For once, I was teaching others that life isn't about flawless grades, it's about being real. My parents adjusted too. They still wanted me to succeed, but slowly, they began celebrating small things like my first painting, my first debate, my first day off. My best friend and I grew closer than ever. She said, "I like you better this way. You feel more alive," and she was right. One day, I shared my full story online, writing about the sleepless nights, the breakdowns, the fainting. People related, and I realized I wasn't alone. Hundreds of messages came in. "I feel the same pressure. Thank you for saying this." My secret became a message of hope for others. I wasn't ashamed anymore. My struggles weren't weaknesses, they were proof of strength, proof that surviving pressure was just as valuable as succeeding under it. When someone asked, "What's your secret now?" I smiled and said, "Balance, sleep, laughing with friends, letting myself be human." That was the real answer. The girl I used to be, the one trapped by grades, still lived in my memories. But she wasn't me anymore. She was just a chapter I survived. College gave me challenges, yes, but now I face them with courage instead of fear. Perfection wasn't my goal anymore, growth was. My parents, over time, learned too. One day, my dad said, "We're proud of you not just for your grades, but for who you're becoming." Tears filled my eyes. My mom hugged me tightly. "I just want you healthy and happy." Hearing those words felt like years of pressure finally breaking apart. At a campus event, I gave a short speech about my journey. My hands shook, but my voice stayed firm. I told my story honestly. The audience clapped not because I was perfect, but because I was real. That applause meant more than any grade ever had. Later, I walked outside into the cool evening air. I thought about how far I had come from a girl chained to textbooks to a girl living freely. My best friend texted me, "Movie night?" I laughed. Of course, no hesitation, no guilt, just excitement for the little joys I once denied myself. As I walked back to my dorm, I realized the secret behind my perfect grades wasn't about intelligence or effort, it was about breaking free from pressure. My story wasn't about success in numbers. It was about choosing life over perfection, balance over obsession, and truth over silence. And that's the real secret. I'm not perfect, but I'm happier, stronger, and finally free, and that's worth more than any grade ever will be.